Hey, this is Dave from metalepidemic.com. Thank you for checking out our YouTube video. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button below if you like this type of content, and we hope you enjoy the review. Okay folks, for this review, Duncan and I have been checking out the new album from UK Doom band Atavist. This band recently reformed in 2017 after a 10-year hiatus.
Jesus.
And are making a return with their new album 3 Absolution, which will be released on June 19th via Candlelight Records. Good old Candlelight. Now, I had never heard of Atavist. But after reading that they'd actually been on a hiatus for 10 years, it started to make sense, and why I'd never heard of Atavist.
Yeah.
But
I also did not assume that this was their debut because there was a 3 at the start of this album.
Yes,
so.
exactly. But the guitarist, Chris Naughton, he also plays in Winterfilleth, who I have heard. So, and they released actually a really well-crafted album back in May called The Reckoning Dawn, which you should check out if you haven't already. So that kind of in itself made me want to check out Atavist. When the album came in, I was mentioning to you, I noticed there was only 4 tracks, and I was like, is this an EP or is there something missing from this album? But when I started to play it, I realised, no, this thing clocks in about an hour.
Yeah, just over 59 minutes long.
Yep.
4 tracks.
So yeah, definitely not an EP. And I figured from that running time, it was probably going to be something that felt pretty immersive. The other thing that I noticed in the press release were the words Skyhammer Studios.
Oh, wait 1 second.
Home of Chris Fielding, who also plays in Doom band Conan, and who has also produced some of the heaviest and most crushing albums known to man.
Known to man, machine, and or extraterrestrial being.
So yes, this album was recorded and produced by Chris, and then mastered by a guy called James Plotkin. So straight away, plenty of boxes being ticked. Usually when I review an album by a band that I've never heard, I will normally go back and check out maybe their previous release, just to kind of get an idea of where like a band have come from, especially when there's like a 10-year gap. And also this was called 3 Absolution, so as you said, I was assuming there was a part 1 and 2 before it. However, that kind of just went out the window when they released a track called Loss. It was their last single they released. It's the first track on the album. And to be honest, after hearing that single, I was too excited to wait, and I just wanted to hear the rest of this album. So I actually didn't go back and listen to their previous stuff at all. That if you haven't heard that track, where to begin?
I think it's worth just saying in terms that albums like this are difficult to review, and the reason they're difficult to review is I think it is inherently complicated to express emotions that songs like these are odysseys. These songs. Yeah. Like the opening track is 17 minutes long, and like when it finishes, you feel like you've listened to an album.
Yeah.
Right. You feel like but that's the album done, and then the next chapter, like, yeah, is the way I describe it, like, if you were on the front line on war and you defeat the troops and you're like, right, onwards, and you go over the hill and then there's just another army there. It's that sort of way. I found it like the biggest challenge I thought, kind of post listening to this, I've done twice through on this album. The biggest issue I thought is, how do you, like, musically you can't break down this album. You can highlight things, but you can't break it down because there's so much going on in parts of just build and build and build, and then a new layer of something comes in during the build, and then the vocals, and it becomes quite that, like when you're saying go and check out Lost, to be honest, that's the best advice. Is like we're gonna try and review this album here, ladies and gents, but it's not gonna do justice to the experience that you're going to get listening to it. Absolutely. Now that I have set you up, Dave, Lost.
Yes. Okay, Lost. So the track kind of starts with almost a kind of Yezu-esque, and I know I use Yezu as an example a lot. I do love Yezu, but that's what it reminded me of. Initially, a kind of clean strummed guitar and strings that kind of slowly bleed into the track. It's very tragic sounding as an opener, in the best possible way. Drums kick in about a minute and a half in, and that's when they start to give a bit of more kind of momentum to the track, like it's gradually building towards something, and then you're hit with a gargantuan wave of distorted guitars and blistering vocals.
So fucking heavy, so unexpected. See, the first I actually, you ever done that thing where like you'll hear something and you look at the device that's playing on as if it will explain what you've just heard? I was like, what? Just so not expecting it to be as fucking heavy as it was after that kind of. It's like it's easing you in, but it's not easing you in at all.
Yeah, it's a kind of same reaction I had when I listened to the first track on the Mountaineer album. That first track, same idea, very kind of clean kind of intro, and it builds and it just hits you, and it's absolutely soul crushing. It's just unbelievably heavy. But as Duncan said, Atavist managed to pack this full of emotion. Like the choice of guitar melodies that lie underneath the heaviness almost makes this section feel uplifting, which is so weird because it's so heavy. And to be honest, that's just the tip of the iceberg. This is, as Duncan said, 17 minutes long, and there's a lot still to come after that. It's certainly, as a track, something that can be defined as like an emotional roller coaster. 1 minute you're up and the next you are buried in a pit of misery. It's like unbelievable. The string parts, though, for me are one of my favourite things. You really elevate this release. They add so much depth and so much feeling to this band's sound. And it would be remiss of me if I did not congratulate Chris Fielding on the production, because it is stunning. This production fits this band, fits their sound like a glove. From the more kind of moving moments on tracks like Lost to the kind of bleak, sludgy tones on tracks like Struggle and Self-Realization. Self-Realization is actually the shortest track on the album at 10 minutes long. And for me, this track was probably one of the most ominous tracks on the album. There's no let up at all. It's just 10 minutes of thick, sinister sludge riffs and savage vocals. It reminded me a little bit of a band called Indian. I don't know if you remember them, but
fuck yeah,
very just relentless heaviness basically for 10 minutes. And I don't know why, but I loved that chiming bell that kind of strikes throughout that track. It almost adds like a kind of eerie atmosphere to the overall vibe. And then the end of the track, double bass drums. What? Double bass drums? That was something that I was not expecting from a Doom album. Absolution is the last track on the album, and it kind of kicks off like something from like the Blade Runner soundtrack. It's like very like cinematic, but the track is similar, in fact, similar fashion to Lost. It kind of builds itself into these kind of soaring passages at either end of the heaviness scale, and again the addition of the strings, I think it's a cello and a violin that's on this. It just the addition of the strings, it just brings the tracks brings the album to a kind of perfect conclusion, to be honest. I did, once I'd listened to it, I did go back and listen to the previous release by Atavist. And as expected, it's appallingly heavy. Again, they do have those kind of tranquil moments among the dissonance, but this new album is next level. Like, you can clearly hear a progression in the writing over the three albums, with this one, or the new one, having the kind of biggest leap in terms of like development of their sound. If you hadn't guessed, I love this album. Like, I have just, the words cannot do justice to this album, to be honest. It's something you really need to just hear and kind of immerse yourself in. These guys are up there with, with amazing bands. Kind of, I know we talked about Ahab in another review, but it reminded me of Ahab a little bit.
Yep.
Pick up those vibes. Shape of Despair, Esoteric, other bands, that have got similar kind of vibes. I will definitely go back to this album throughout the year. But what I would say is it's something that, for me anyway, that I need to be in the right frame of mind to listen to. It's quite an emotionally draining album, and not one that I would just kind of stick on after like a hard day at work, unless you're like looking for the soundtrack to accompany an emotional breakdown, and like, in which case then it's probably perfect for that, to be honest. I loved it. I don't know if you have anything else you want to add to that, but great album, fantastic album.
Just echoing, like, it's almost as if you read my mind, to be honest. Just echo it. I think I don't know how you approach to write music like this. You know what I mean? Like, and like, give so much of yourself. This to me is the very weapon I would use to anyone who thinks that listening to metal music is all just screaming and noise. You know what I mean? This is the trump card back. As a wonderfully bleakly constructed Odyssey is the only way I can describe it. It is a journey that takes you through it. The first time I listened to it was, I think you sent it through to me, and I listened to it while I was like editing audio stuff, and it was playing in the background, and I was just like normalizing files and things, and like I already told you, I had to look at the device when the heavy part started kicking. I was like, what the fuck is this? And I found myself kind of slipping while I was listening to it, just slipping into, kind of drifting off into like visions of just like kind of grey and monochrome, and just like it's what it kept like evoking in me. Second time I listened to it though was for those that don't know me, and we'll get to learn more as we go on, I have chronic insomnia. I have like really 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 bad insomnia, and it's not unusual for me to sit in a room at night in the dark and listen to music or an audiobook or whatever. And the second time I listened to it, it was like about 2 a.m. And I put this thing on, and there was like just a husk of like daylight coming over over the horizon, just like coming in through the back living room, and I was listening to it, and I was struck by specifically how beautiful the album is, but how viciously beautiful it is. And the word that kept coming into my head when listening to it is, this is the very definition of an oxymoronic album. Like, every nice thing you say about it, you have to use like a nasty term to get over the nice. I think that's like, I think it's brilliant. I think across the board is this is what you call a feat of musicianship, like to craft and keep interest and deliver an emotional impact. Every single title of these songs is the emotion you will feel as you listen to them. And Absolution, I mean, at like almost 18 minutes in length, is like a work of art. I think it's a fucking brilliant album. That's all I have to say. I told you, difficult to describe.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful album. Definitely check this one out when it drops on June 19th. The band are Atavist. The album is 3 Absolution, and it's out via Candlelight Records. For me, I couldn't find anything to dislike about this album at all. There was no weak tracks. There was no weak moments. Everything about it was just kind of perfect, to be honest. And for that reason, it's a 5 out of 5 for me.
I'm so glad you said that, Dave, because I was about to say 5 and I thought maybe people that are new to our style of reviewing will just think we only give out 5s. Like, well, all I need to do to get the Metal Epidemic guys to give me a 5 is release a really long, complicated album, and they're in. Yeah, it's a 5. It's a flawless album. It's a work of art. Actually, I think it goes be an album I don't think does justice to the work on here. It's an actual work of art. It's fucking brilliant.
Yep. If you want to check these guys out, you can find them on Facebook, facebook.com/Atavist band. Be sure to check this one out. It's a high recommendation from Duncan and myself. I mean, if you're into kind of doomier, sludgier stuff, then I can't see how you wouldn't like it, to be honest. It's a phenomenal album. Phenomenal. That's all from us. We'll be back very soon with another review, but until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye.